Hey guys, I've been seeing a lot of strong players in BG lately, so I have a lot of footage fighting them. So if you're tired of BG videos, I'm sorry. But it's the best footage I have right now. I was going to actually skip over this footage with JohnnyWalk since the last one I did had a couple fights against him also, but he ends up using the fire pet in our second fight, and it's the mythic version of it, and it looks great. It's my favorite art in the game right now. It just looks so cool. I want to make one so badly, but I'm not. I'm trying to keep my priorities straight and not just do whatever I think is eye candy in the game. But that's okay. One of these days, I'll make one eventually. And here, Johnny, I don't think he's really set up his mage at the moment to, his battle oracle, in a way that's that great for PvP. He's probably, it looks more like a world boss type of setup. It doesn't seem to have a lot of heals and stuff, which I think is the whole point of somebody bringing an oracle. But personally, I find it kind of a pain to switch around the kid skills a lot, so I don't really blame him for not switching that over. But I think, so for something like Class Wars, he would probably switch it over to a lot of heals to be able to have Suntoria and Restore and have the group heal for the Delphic group heal. So here again, my approach against Johnny is to use player priority attacks and try and kill him off and keep him on the defensive. His kid is not really dealing that much and will not be too much of a problem, so I want to focus on killing him first. So Jupiter's Wrath, Flash Storm, and then hoping some of the other skills that Hercules has will end up targeting him, which they do. Hi, KV, and yeah, so Killbot's saying hi to me, and we end up having a couple fights after this, and which is really nice. I haven't seen Killbot in well, I've seen him in BG. I haven't been able to fight him in BG for quite a while. One-on-one, it's been even longer. I have seen him in crossover GB and fought him there, but that was also with groups, so it's a little bit different. And of course, I have a much bigger advantage over him in a group situation just because I'm a mage, and so if he doesn't have strong mage support, he's at a bit of a disadvantage. So here's the fire pet. It looks like a big fiery bird in little mode, and in big mode, it's this big scary dude. It's spelled Arise, A-R-I-S-E, and so I think for any American English speaker that's Arise, but I tried to Google it and try to figure out what exactly it related to in Greek mythology, and the best I could come up with is that it might be an alternate spelling of Ares. Ares, the god of war, and that's maybe the best thing I could come up with. It might sort of look like a god of war. He has two big swords with him, so there's a possibility, but I'm not totally sure. I managed to get a heal, awaken, and a guardian rune. That is a skill that, if you are a mage, that's something that you want in your back pocket in case you're in that similar situation. I like to self second very often to take one hit and then restore out of that, and then go into self mode with full health and guardian rune as timely as I can. So I managed to get him with the priority attacks again, and off with the kid. That poor kid. He really needs some heals. I think Johnny would have been in better shape in the self mode if he had some heals as well. A little bit of Suntoria can go a long way. And here's Killbot. Killbot using an Electro Pet, very popular with knights. I'm glad to still see them around. I do think, at least as far as talk goes, I think people seem to think that the single target pets like fire and particularly electro are less relevant now because they don't have as many AoEs, and so they can't do the area damage to make sure you get rid of the kids. I think at least as the kids are right now, they're dying pretty quickly, and so sometimes they don't even make it to self mode. And I think Hercules is a good counter to that because you can very easily focus on the main player using player priority tags. So he's collecting up some heals using his bubbles. Well, not bubbles, just one bubble, but block heal's not really doing much for knights these days, but a little, I guess, is all right. No rune for me. I bet I Centurion next, yeah. So his slasher alone is critting for 50k. It's pretty nice. But it doesn't look like he's critting much, and his crit stat is pretty low. I'll show it later. So I feel like he's not dealing quite as much as he could. I think his crit stat's so low, he'd probably be better off with a Will Destroyer. Do I go for the Guardian rune here? Guess I didn't. Maybe not the best play on my part. And here's the Amnesia. I wasn't really expecting that, seeing as you know, usually it's the Amnesia comes right as you go into Sylph mode, and so I wasn't playing in a way that I wasn't playing like I was rushed. You know, if you get Amnesia, you know that you're not going to have as many awakening points in as you'd like, and so I try to get my Delphic out sooner. And so I get into a bit of trouble here when his Jupiter's Wrath Amnesia is the one skill that I was about to use, and so I end up having to auto attack twice, and then I lose my awakening points for Delphic, so that's pretty tough. And the kicker is what happens next is the stun from Death Warrant. I just said in my last video how nice that stun is, and Killbot has pretty good influence, or at least more influence than I do, so presumably he'll stun me most of the time. So try to get a Guardian rune out with a heal, and then heal, but again with the Amnesia, and so yeah, I just can't really get myself out of this situation. Once you can take a mage's heals away, you're in pretty good shape. That's pretty much what we rely on. If we can't heal, we're in quite a bit of trouble. We turn into a bit of a wall splat. So nice job on his part. And I always try to get multiple fights. I think he was he says you're still tough. Well, anybody says that to me, I'm still gonna try and go for at least a couple more fights. I like to be able to fight people 3 times if at all possible. Our third fight got cut off, but at least got a second one in. And here again with the archer kids, you know, I suspect that, I mean, they're built up just as much, you know, Hef's kid from my last BG video and Killbots are probably similar BR to Johnny's Oracle, but just because you know, I'm a mage, an Oracle probably has more MDef, and so it takes a little bit more effort for me to kill the Oracle kids, whereas these ones I can usually get before going into Sylph mode. I think Killbot might have jumped the gun a little bit on Sylphing. You know, not crazy, it's not that weird to go, you know, 20 seconds before the first damage increase, but at least against me, I'm a mage, I have a lot of electro resistance, so I'm probably able to kind of bear through the first Sylph mode if he doesn't have that advantage of the damage increase for a good portion of it. But Delphic was actually still pretty nice. But I think his kid is critting more than he is. There's my Guardian. So really taking my sweet time, just looking back at this is, well, I mean, it's not totally uncharacteristic of how I'd play, but it's a bit more cautious than what I'd usually do. Maybe I was just really worried about that stun. I managed to get the Restore out before that Death Warrant. I'm lucky enough that he doesn't end up stunning me with that, because it would be the stun and then the Amnesia. It's just a lot to deal with. So I managed to get out Thundering. Oh, it was a Jupiter's Wrath. I thought it was a different skill. Not too bad. Get a heal, shock chain, and probably a Delphic. Yeah, I'm sure I'm trying to rush here and just try and kill him off as soon as possible. I do have the advantage of having a Sylph mode for a good, being in Sylph mode for the 100% increase. So that ends up playing to my advantage. And so yeah, we get into one more, and this one's kind of silly. You know, I would have skipped it, but I might just end up clipping this footage and sending it to a ticket or something, and being like, why does this happen with the stuns? So here I get my heal out, typical stuff. Nice crit heal actually, and he stuns me, but then the stun stays on. So it's like for one more turn, and after that I think I can't do anything for some reason. You know, usually the stun will go away, but once in a while it'll just stay there and not go away. So I probably could have done stuff by now. And then I just started trying using skills. Turns out I can. So, yeah, typical Wartune nonsense. But yeah, can't complete it, which is a little bit of a pity. So now we can go check out the stats. Killbot's up there at 2nd after Enchantress. His attack is almost 190k, that's an Electro Pet, I'm pretty sure. And his crit's very low, 15k, which I think probably attributes to why he wasn't critting me quite as much. I feel like his rate was barely over 50%. You know, somebody can probably go through and figure that out, but at least it didn't feel like he was critting me much. And so yeah, otherwise pretty typical knight build. Maybe, you know, he does seem to push MDef. I think he has mostly MDef gems in there. So that's pretty typical. But I would definitely increase his crit if I were him. And I say that, and my friends are like, why would you ever suggest that to them? You shouldn't tell your opponents good ideas or something. For one thing, nobody has to take my advice. I'm just a person babbling on YouTube about Wartune. Nobody has to take my advice if they don't want it. And also, so yeah, those are Johnny's stats, which have not changed in the past 2 days, really. And so yeah, nobody has to take my advice. It's just throwing an idea out there. And I think it's also sometimes helpful for some people who are looking around at these builds. And a lot of people look at the top players for ideas for how to build their own tunes. And for one thing, not all the top players have great builds. And I'm, you know, perpetually changing mine. So when people say, oh, Ilya, I do exactly what you do, I'm kind of horrified because I'm constantly changing what I'm doing. I'm trying to think up new ideas or try different things. So yeah, I wouldn't say the top players are necessarily people that you definitely should emulate. To me, trying around, you know, switching gems around and trying to figure things out is the best way to go. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Take care and have a very good day.